Hey Jellies, this is Jelly Jordan, and welcome to tonight's soft poetry reading. Tonight we will be reading The Lady of Shallot by Alfred Lord Tennyson, the 1842 version. There will be a discussion following the video, and a commentary-free version will be available and linked in the description. Let's read. The Lady of Shallot, 1842. On either side the river lie long fields of barley and of rye that clothe the wold and meet the sky, and through the field the road runs by to many-towered Camelot. And up and down the people go, gazing where the lilies blow, round an island there below, the island of Shalott. Willows whiten, aspens quiver, little breezes dusk and shiver through the wave that runs forever by the island in the river, flowing down to Camelot. 4 grey walls and 4 grey towers overlook a space of flowers, and the silent isle embowers the Lady of Shallot. By the margin willow-veiled slide the heavy barges trailed by slow horses, and unhailed the shallop flitteth silken-sailed, skimming down to Camelot. But who has seen her wave her hand, or at the casement seen her stand? Or is she known in all of the land, the Lady of Shallot? Only reapers, reaping early, in among the beaded barley, hear a song that echoes cheerly from the river winding clearly down to towered Camelot. And by the moon the reaper weary, piling sheaves in uplands airy, listening whispers, "'Tis the fairy, the Lady of Shallot." There she weaves by night and day a magic web with colours gay. She has heard a whisper say, a curse is on her if she stay to look down to Camelot. She knows not what the curse may be, and so she weaveth steadily, and little other care hath she, the Lady of Shallot. And moving through a mirror clear that hangs before her all the year, shadows of the world appear, and there she sees the highway near, winding down to Camelot. There the river eddy whirls, and there the surly village churls, and the red cloaks of market girls pass onward from Shalott. Sometimes a troop of damsels glad, an abbot on an ambling pad, sometimes a curly shepherd lad, or a long-haired page in crimson clad, goes by to towered Camelot. And sometimes through the mirror blue the knights come riding two and two. She hath no loyal knight and true, the Lady of Shallot. But in her web she still delights to weave the mirror's magic sights. For often through the silent nights a funeral with plumes and lights and music went to Camelot. Or when the moon was overhead came 2 young lovers lately wed. I am half sick of shadows, said the Lady of Shallot. A bowshot from her bower eaves he rode between the barley sheaves. The sun came dazzling through the leaves, and flamed upon the brazen greaves of bold Sir Lancelot. A red-crossed knight forever kneeled to a lady in his shield that sparkled on the yellow field beside remote Shalott. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see hung in the golden galaxy. The bridal bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung beside remote Shalott. All in the blue unclouded weather, thick jewelled shone the saddle leather. The helmet and the helmet feather burned like one burning flame together as he rode down to Camelot. As often through the purple night, below the starry clusters bright, some bearded meteor, trailing light, moves over still Shalott. His broad clear brow in sunlight glowed, on burnished hoofs his war horse trode, From underneath his helmet flowed his coal-black curls as on he rode down to Camelot. From the bank and from the river he flashed into the crystal mirror. Tira-lira, by the river, sang Sir Lancelot. She left the web, she left the loom, she made 3 paces through the room. She saw the water-lily bloom, she saw the helmet and the plume. She looked down to Camelot. Out flew the web and floated wide. The mirror cracked from side to side. "The curse is come upon me," cried the Lady of Shallot. In the stormy east wind straining, the pale yellow woods were waning, the broad stream in his banks complaining, heavily the low sky raining over towered Camelot. Down she came and found a boat beneath a willow left afloat, and down about the prow she wrote, the Lady of Shallot. And down the river's dim expanse, like some bold seer in a trance, seeing all his own mischance, with a glassy countenance did she look to Camelot. And at the closing of the day she loosed the chain, and down she lay. The broad stream bore her far away, the Lady of Shallot. Lying, robed in snowy white, that loosely flew to left and right, the leaves upon her falling light, through the noises of the night, she floated down to Camelot. As the boat-head wound along the willowy hills and fields among, they heard her singing her last song, the Lady of Shallot. Heard a carol, mournful, holy, chanted loudly, chanted lowly, till her blood was frozen slowly, and her eyes were dark and holy, turned to towered Camelot. For ere she reached upon the tide, the first house by the water side, singing in her song she died, the Lady of Shallot. Under tower and balcony, by garden wall and gallery, a gleaming shape she floated by, dead pale between the houses high, silent into Camelot. Out upon the wharfs they came, knight and burgher, lord and dame, and round the prow they read her name, the Lady of Shallot. Who is this, and what is here? And in the lighted palace near died the sound of royal cheer, and they crossed themselves for fear, all the knights at Camelot. But Lancelot mused a little space. He said, "She has a lovely face. God in his mercy lend her grace, the Lady of Shallot." So, let's discuss Alfred Lord Tennyson and the Lady of Shallot. The Lady of Shallot is one of my favorite poems and has been for a very long time. I first heard of the poem when reading one of my favorite childhood book series, the Anne of Green Gables series. I would stop by the library every afternoon in the middle school after cello practice. Slowly, one by one, I checked out the books and would read them that spring, outside, in the fresh spring air, in my favorite spot, up in a tree, in one of the fields on my family's property. I fell in love with the books and with Anne, who I related to as an often mistreated and misunderstood young woman, with a difficult upbringing, a love of big words, an endless imagination, a tendency to get myself into trouble, and a love of nature. In one famous scene in the book, Anne reenacts the river scene from the Lady of Shallot, and the boat she is in sinks, leaving her hanging from the pier, and being reluctantly rescued by her future love interest, Gilbert Blythe. I was infatuated with this scene, but wasn't sure the poem was real, until I bought a 1910s poetry book from the library bookstore that contained the poem. On an interesting side note, the song Nellie and the Hazel Dell mentioned in the book is also a real song, which I can sing, and it is very spooky. I can sing it in a video if anyone is interested. I fell in love with the poem immediately, and it remains one of my favorite poems to this day. And when I first started dating the man who would become the love of my life, he would often read it to me when I couldn't fall asleep, so it holds a special place in my life. Now, onto a short summary of Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alfred Lord Tennyson was born in August of 1809 in Lincolnshire in England, the fourth of 12 children in an upper-middle-class family. He had a difficult upbringing, but would become a baron later in life, and poet laureate under the reign of Queen Victoria. His poems were extremely popular, making him a big star. He attended Trinity College, and during his time there, he would join a secret society known as the Cambridge Apostles. In 1833, he published his second book of poetry, which included the first version of the Lady of Shallot, but it was not received well, and he was so disheartened he did not publish for another 10 years. He was eventually convinced to publish again and found great success. Not too many years later, he became made Poet Laureate, and some years after that being given the title of Baron, though he tried to turn it down many times. Later in life, he married 37-year-old Emily Sherwood, with whom he had had a years-long on-and-off romance. She was a stabilizing force for him, as he was prone to melancholy. He remained successful and well-loved until his death in 1892. Well, Jellies, it was a pleasure reading with you. I hope to see you again soon. Please like and subscribe and share my small channel with your friends if you think they will like it. See you again soon. Farewell.